Hello everyone, this is Becca from Willow Hill Designs, and I'm sharing my June block progress for Roxys Journal of Stitchery with Rachel and Sarah and their mom. The prompts for this month were hand-dyed or hand-painted fabric along with a heart. So I had dyed some Dupioni silk a few years back when I was making a wedding quilt for our daughter, and her whole quilt was made of Dupioni silk, and so I had dyed a few different colors that I wanted to use in the quilt, and one of them was a green, kind of a medium green, and then sort of a lighter pea green, I guess you might call it. And then some darker sort of peachy rose color. You can sort of see the modeling on the fabric where the dye didn't take completely, and I kind of love that. I think it looks pretty. I use just regular Rit dye on these, and sort of a medium pinky peachy color. These were going to be for the flowers. There were going to be dogwood flowers on it in the corners, and then this light color also I dyed. You can see there's kind of some pink in here, just sort of different little modelings. This was my first attempt really at dyeing any silk, so I liked those colors, so I thought I would use those for my June block because I don't have anything else hand-dyed or hand-painted, truthfully. And so I drew my page size, and then when I thought of a heart, I wanted to do a heart that was cut out with something behind it, something behind the heart. And so this is what I came up with. And the reason that there's that size heart cut out is because of the little picture that I wanted to put behind it. So this is what I came up with for June. And I used the pink Dupioni silk for this background, and I added a few pieces in the corners of the darker silk, and then I also used the greens, and it was really to bring in the colors of this little picture that I loved. I thought this picture was so adorable. I loved this fairy hugging this looks like a little mother mouse. It looks like it might be the little mouse's house. They're at the doorway. It's kind of under the point of the heart, but this is a door. And so the way that I did this, because Dupioni silk is so raveling, such a ravelly fabric, I didn't want to leave this edge raw because I thought, stitching it down, it might get messy. Although I know a lot of people love that. I haven't quite gotten there yet to love that, embrace that look of ravelly. I know I should get there. But anyway, what I did for this was I cut a piece of Floriani washable and fusible stabilizer. So you fuse this on the back of your fabric, and if you were going to wash this piece, most of it, like 80%, would wash out. It would just leave a little fiber if you were doing this behind a quilt or something. And because I wanted the edges finished, the size heart that I cut out was like this size, and I left about a 3/8 inch margin. So this is what I cut out of the kind of peach colored silk, leaving this margin. But when I ironed the stabilizer to the back, the opening is the size that I wanted, is the larger opening. And then what I did was I just used a little bit of glue stick here all the way around, snipped all of those the seam allowance, and just glued it back, pressed it down to this, and it gave a nice finished edge on the heart. Again, I like that look. So that gave me the heart with the finished edge. And this is stitched down with an invisible applique stitch, so that's all stitched down. And then because silk dupioni is such a fine fabric, I didn't want a thick thread laying on top of it, like a pearl cotton or even an embroidery floss. So I used just regular sewing machine thread to do a borrow stitch or a running straight stitch, and then I added some X's or crosses in there just to give a little texture. And the thread that I used is just regular sewing machine thread. This is good. This happens to be Gutermann 50 weight, but this is what I would use in my sewing machine. So I just wanted something fairly fine. It does give you the texture, you do see it, but it's not laying on top of the fabric like a rope going through there. I just didn't want anything too thick. And I thought I would just share too quickly that the way I store my thread is in these acrylic drawers. They are, I think, for makeup and jewelry, but I love them for thread because they're clear and you can just take the drawer out if you want to, wherever you're working, stitching. Take it to your sewing machine, or if you're doing hand stitching, you can just take the drawer out and see what colors you have. And it just makes it really nice. You can organize by color. And I have a lot of greens. I think I have another drawer of greens too. And there's pinks. But it's just a handy way to store thread. I thought I would share that. So that is how I attached the pieces that I added to this with just regular sewing machine thread. And then I was thinking, I had originally drawn that I would do some sort of embroidery around the edge. I was thinking something maybe in an ivory, and with maybe some little flowers. So, but then the more I thought about it, I thought I would like some lace on there. And I have this lace that I love. I think it's so pretty. And so I decided to use some of this lace. And I actually also dyed this. I put it in a coffee bath, just quickly, a little dunk in a coffee bath to just make it a tiny bit more ivory. And so it looks like this now. And that's more the, excuse me, that's more the color that I wanted. So that lace will go around the heart like this. Hopefully I get it right. I took a picture so that I would remember how to place this on here. But it'll look something like this. So I thought I will still do some embroidery on here, but I liked the way the lace looked. So it'll look something like this. to fuss with this to get it where it should be, where all the little pieces should be. But it'll be something like this, something to this effect. So that it will have lace around this little opening. I don't know if you can see that. So what I will do is I will add some embroidery stitches, maybe some French knots in these flower centers, and maybe a little bit of greenery. I'm not sure at this point, but I would like to add a little bit of color in here. I think that would maybe look nice. So next it will be to stitch this lace down, and then I can do the embroidery. And then, excuse me, on here I had drawn maybe in the corners some sort of little branches or some leaves. So I'm thinking that I may do with an ivory embroidery thread or floss, do something in these corners, but and add just a little bit of color around here. So that's kind of where my block stands for now. At least I have the base done and I have the heart all stitched in place, so I just really have to embellish now. So this one really seems to be a lot easier. It's not quite as involved. Thank goodness my ideas didn't lead me down a very, very involved path, which I seem to always manage to take. But so this is really enjoyable. This is fun, and I think it will look pretty on the other page with my little bird, which seems to have similar colors to it. So thank you very much for stopping by, for watching my video. I enjoy sharing, and I enjoy seeing what everyone else is doing. And I wish you happy stitching, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye for now.